minus 1. Dash. Okay, I did that. Start. Copy. Paste. Into here. Let's make it wide. Let's see if that works. Oh, good. Yay. Hello. Hello, hello. All right, that is exciting. Hi, everybody. Welcome to At Home with Waldorf. I'm Jean, and this is the month of December. So today we're going to be talking all about simplicity holidays. I think this is a great topic for all of us. So the first thing I'd like to know is if you can see and hear me. So if you are here live, please type into the chat, yes, if you can see and hear me. That will be super helpful. It looks on my end like it's working fine, but you never know how it looks on your end. I'd like to know that. So please type into the chat and tell me, yes, 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 you can see and hear me. Oh, I'm so excited. Hi, Matsunaga, I hope I pronounced that right, and Nicole and Susan. I'm so glad that you're here to join me today. So it is the month of December. It's really cold and rainy here. It's been a really funny fall. I'm in northeastern Ohio, and some trees, there's still leaves on some trees, which is so interesting. Yeah. Hi, Tara. Great. Okay, everybody can see and hear me. So, so welcome to At Home with Waldorf. And I have my hot tea today because, like I was saying, it's really cold and rainy here. And I am I'm celebrating. I'm so grateful for all of you to be here. And this is the 1-year anniversary of At Home with Waldorf. So I've been doing these monthly webinars once a month, a little break in the summer, but once a month for a year, which is pretty neat. I've gotten to know you all better, and I think you've gotten to know me, so that's really, really fun. So today we're celebrating, and we have a couple fun little things that we're going to do. So first, let me just officially say hello. So I'm Jean Miller. I'm the founder of Waldorf-Inspired Learning, where I help homeschooling moms just like you create a personalized plan to homeschool your kids with the lively arts. And I'm really committed to helping you do that in a way that's both doable and sustainable over the long haul. So that's my mission. And if you haven't had a chance to look at my website, waldorfinspiredlearning.com, I offer guidebooks, one-on-one mentoring, and there are all kinds of free resources for homeschooling with the lively arts there. So please check that out if you haven't already. And yes, happy St. Nicholas Day. So to those who are celebrating, it's a really fun day. I'd love to hear if you all did anything this morning. I saw some fun pictures on Facebook of the little shoes with treats in them. And I know some of you are celebrating Advent. This holiday season, there are just so many different holidays. And thanks for the congrats. Apple, yeah, it's fun. Okay, so the month of December, so many different holidays. I know we probably all celebrate different different holidays, and regardless of what you might be celebrating this month, it can be a pretty crazy time of year because there are all kinds of holiday activities and events. There's usually gift giving involved that can sometimes get a little bit crazy, and it's just a time that we can end up feeling overwhelmed and like there's a lot more clutter building up, and it makes it harder, I think, when things get really, really busy for us to make those connections and maintain our strong family connections, which is such a value, I think, in our parenting for all of us. So today we're going to dive deeply into this topic of simplicity holidays, and I'm going to use some of the principles from the Simplicity Parenting book by Kim John Payne. If you have not had a chance to read that yet, I highly recommend it. I did the training to be a Simplicity Parenting family coach back in 2013, and a lot of the steps in that training involve the concept of making things really doable, and it's helped me so much in my own parenting and homeschooling, as well as in my work mentoring other homeschooling parents. So yeah, such a great book. Really highly recommend it. The parts that I'm going to talk about today aren't actually so much in the book as they are in the work that I have done as a coach and with other parents around the concept of the book. But we are going to look at, there are 4 realms that are mentioned in the book that are really make the most difference if we work on simplifying. And those realms are the environment, rhythm, scheduling, or our schedules, and the adult world, which can include media, conversations, the news, all kinds of things like that. And how do we navigate all of that in such a way that we can maintain a healthy home and not have our kids get overwhelmed? Because the more connection we have with our children, the more secure they feel, and the better off everybody is as a result of that. Okay, so before I switch over to the slides for the presentation, I do just want to introduce the giveaways that I have today because I'm excited about this. And I chose 4 different giveaways for this month just to celebrate the anniversary of At Home with Waldorf, and because it's such a festive time of year. So I want to show you those giveaways first before I switch over to the slides. So the very first one is the Celebrating the Seasons Winter. Sorry if there's a glare there. This is my guidebook that takes you through the steps of creating a spiral walk. So you can do a spiral walk for Advent, for winter solstice. You can even do it to celebrate the new year. It's great for the dark for this time of year, and a wonderful thing to do. I love doing them outdoors. A wonderful thing to do with your family, immediate family, or a larger group of family and friends. So I have all the instructions for how to do that, plus activity ideas, and there are MP3 recordings of songs for you to sing and verses. It's an electronic version of this. This is an older edition even, but so in the second edition, I added some ideas for how you could create a shadow puppet theater, and all kinds of, there's a whole section on celebrating Candlemas, which is often brought the beginning of February. So ideas for making candles and songs and verses for that as well. So that's giveaway number 1. And then the second one, so I'm so excited about this one, is called The Trees of the Dancing Goats. And it's by Patricia Polacco. So you may be familiar with some of her other books. This book holds a really warm spot in my heart because our immediate family celebrates Hanukkah, and we have some extended family who celebrate Christmas. And the story is about 2 families, one celebrating Hanukkah, one celebrating Christmas. And it's actually based on a real event in Patricia Polacco's life. And the family celebrating Christmas gets really ill, and it's how they help each other out. It's just a beautiful story. Okay, so that's giveaway number 2. And then I have just a little special piece of beeswax. This is the modeling beeswax in the natural color. Really fun to make little people or animals or whatever from the stories that you might be reading this month, which is something I highly encourage. And you'll hear more about that when I talk about simplifying your homeschooling rhythm this month. And then I have just a set of the primary color 3 beeswax, the block crayons for one of you. So 4 different giveaways. I'm really excited. The way to enter the giveaway is to put your name and where you're from in the chat box. And then later in the webinar, I will be drawing names for those 4 items. So please do say hello. I'm so glad you're here. I have my hot tea. I hope you brought something comforting. And I'm just really excited to dive into this topic of simplifying at this time of year, because really any time of year it can help, but particularly for the holidays, it can just feel chaotic and crazy, and these concepts can really make a difference. So I'm going to switch over to the slides now. Let's see. Just do one thing at once. Okay. Screen share. Here we go. And I'm going to give it a minute because I need to make sure that I don't know if I did this right. Sorry for the weird. I know you get this weird screen thing. Yikes. Okay. There's a new setup. Okay, I'm gonna new setup here. Oh, good. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. I'll go back to the slides. Okay, and I'm on the end. You don't want to see the very end. Okay, sorry for the wacky back and forth here, but hopefully this is now good to go. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and welcome to December's At Home with Waldorf. Whether you're here live or watching the replay, I'm so glad that you're here. And I can't wait to delve into this topic, and we're going to have a little bit of time, hopefully, to share some of your ideas about how we can simplify at this time of year. So I'm going to ask each of you to pick something that you want to work on. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All right, so here we go. So a lot of you have been here before. I see a lot of familiar names, but I just want you to know that we do this little meet and greet that we did at the beginning. If you haven't yet typed your name into the chat box, please do so, because that is your way of entering the giveaway. And hi, Joe, and hi, Amber. So nice to see you here. So the topic for this month, as I've said, is Simplicity Holidays, and you can jot down questions as we go, and you can type them into the chat as we go along, but we'll also have a special time toward the end for Q&A. I do have some verses and songs to share with you. And then, like I said, I have 4 treats for the giveaway today. And then I'll talk about the special offer, and we'll end with a quote from Rudolf Steiner that I'm really excited to share with you. So here we go. So in this webinar, we're going to talk about simplifying and in these different realms of our lives. So if you are interested and if you want to simplify this holiday season so you can enjoy your family more, then this is the place for you. You may be hoping to bring more joy and connection this holiday season. Perhaps you just want to feel less overwhelmed, which is something that is often a goal for me. And you might want to be making a few changes this year so that you can do something different, but also in a more doable way. Bring something new, some new activity or ritual to your family this year. So that's what we're going to be looking at. And here we are talking about Simplicity Holidays. So welcome. So just the brief, little bit about if you do have trouble, if the screen goes blurry or you lose connection, the very first step is to click that little refresh button on your top bar there. That usually resolves it. So I always want to bring that up because it's a helpful tip. And please do participate in the chat box because it's always nice to hear from everybody. Hello, Jennifer. Okay, here are pictures, more recent pictures of my kids. I always love to introduce them as we are together in these webinars. And on the left is my son Isaac doing what he loves most, which is mountain bike racing. And he's in Colorado, and we are going to get to see him this month, which I'm super excited about. The middle picture is of Ben, and he is in Japan. I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but he's having quite a wonderful meal. He's been in Japan this fall, and he comes back to the States next week, but he's going to spend the holidays in California with his girlfriend's family, so we won't get to see him until January. And then the far right is my daughter Lila, and that's a picture when she and I got to go on a mother-daughter trip. It was so much fun. We went to the Texas Book Festival in Austin, Texas with some other friends in November. So that's a picture from that trip. It was a great, really great trip. Okay. So the challenge of the holidays. I think we can often feel this pressure. We often feel like we're constantly on, right? It's a constant go, 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 go. We have this, there's this pressure to make it perfect. And it's so strong, even if we think we're letting ourselves off the hook this year, or that we're not going to do that to ourselves again, right? It's still there. And I think it's really this whole slide practically from Thanksgiving to New Year's, where we're supposed to be, where everything is supposed to feel festive and celebratory. And we can all just end up feeling overwhelmed and actually really pretty tired. So that's what we're going to address today. In the book, Simplicity Parenting, I mentioned in the beginning, we're going to talk about these 4 pillars that Kim John Payne addresses in his book. And there are a couple statistics, or there's one statistic I want to start with, and that is that children, researchers have found that children have lost more than 12 hours of free time in the past 2 decades, which is pretty crazy. And you know, it's probably filled with more stuff, more activities, more on the go, more screens, more, there's just more. You know, for adults, I think we often feel there's just more information out there, right? And it's wonderful because we can do things like this, right, and connect with each other from long distances around the globe. But at the same time, there's always something we could be doing other than just sitting around and, you know, allowing there to be time for something to happen. We don't do that as much anymore. So what we want to talk about is how we might be able to pare down the clutter and strengthen the rhythm, reduce activities and screen time. And these are the 4 pillars that I talked about that Kim John Payne talks about in his book, Simplicity Parenting, the pillars of the environment, rhythm, schedule, and the adult world. And by adult world, it's not just screens. It also, you know, here in the United States, we've recently had this presidential election, and it's been very challenging. It's been so hard on the children, I think. And so what are some ways that we can strengthen the foundation of our families so that the craziness that might be going on in the outside world is not the most immediate thing that they feel and see. So here's a quote. I had this up last month too, but I love it so much I wanted to repeat it. That and if you didn't watch yet, the webinar last month, November, was about rhythm, and it had a lot of more suggestions about really strengthening that one piece. So Kim John Payne said, increasing the rhythm of your home life is one of the most powerful ways of simplifying your children's lives. So we're going to talk today about some ways of increasing the rhythm, but I'm going to ask you to pick an area that you think this month you might want to focus on to just make a small doable change. And perhaps it has something to do with rhythm. It could also have something to do with one of the other realms. So you'll get a chance to look at that. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we go along. So first I want to start with homeschooling through the holidays. What can we do to simplify things during the holidays, just specifically around our homeschooling lessons? And I think the easiest way is to simplify the rhythm altogether. My mentor, Barbara Dewey, whom some of you know, she always advises to not plan any main lesson blocks during the month of December. And that was so hard for me when I first heard that from her, because I'm always like, go, 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 we got to get it all in and that kind of thing. But it really made a huge difference in my life and the lives of my children when I heeded this advice. And here's a super simple rhythm for the month of December. And it just, it can include all ages instead of doing separate lessons if you happen to be doing separate lessons for different kids. And it just has 3 parts to it. Start with songs and verses, have a story, and then do some kind of creative activity. And that creative activity can relate to the story, and or it can involve making handmade gifts for the holidays or doing some form of handwork if your child is continuing to work on a project. Yes, Barbara, the queen of Waldorf teaching. She definitely is, Joe. So this is a really simple rhythm that I'm recommending for this month of December, and you would be surprised how much learning can happen with this rhythm. I think what happens to many of us is that if we have that attitude of we're just going to push through, right, and get everything done. If we happen to have that attitude and try to keep going with main lesson blocks, I think what happens is we end up falling way short and feeling like a failure and giving up altogether at some point, right? And it might be the week before Christmas, it might be 2 weeks before Christmas, right? Or those winter holidays, just feeling like throwing in the towel because nothing is working. What was I thinking? And so my suggestion is to start with the simpler rhythm from the get-go and keep something going, but you've simplified enough to make it actually work, and yeah, and be able to keep going with it. Because I think if we really, as homeschooling families with as much going on as we have going on, and then the holidays on top of that, and the pressure that we put on ourselves, I think as Waldorf homeschoolers particularly, to make things beautiful, to do handmade things, to decorate, to bake, to all of those things that we want to bring to our children. If we're trying to do main lesson blocks on top of that, something's got to give, and it's better to plan for success by simplifying than to crash and burn, which is often what happens if we try to just push through. So yeah, it's a very liberating idea. Very simple. Suggestions. I have 2 blog posts over at waldorfinspiredlearning.com. One I just did last week, and it's a list of over 50 books for reading and that make great gifts for giving, for all kinds of books around the winter holidays. It includes books about Christmas, about Hanukkah, about solstice, winter solstice, and just winter time. Really fun books. Yes, so Caroline, happy that you're not alone in thinking like that. Yeah, so then I have another post about making handmade gifts that you might want to check out too. That's you can just go to the website and search last minute homemade holidays, and you'll be able to find it. Okay. So one other tip before we get into the specifics of the 4 realms that we're going to talk about is don't forget how important self-care is. For you, the parent, you want to make sure you're getting plenty of sleep, drink plenty of water. This time of year, it really helps me to have some sort of way of keeping track of how much water I drink. There are apps for it. I've done pennies. You can take pennies out of one little dish and put them in another every time you drink a glass of water. There are all kinds of ways to do that. But when things get busy and festive, for some reason celebrating, the water tends to go by the wayside, along with sleep and exercise. Be sure you're getting at least walks outdoors. You can up your inner work or your prayer and meditation practice. And remember not to overindulge too much because when we live on just sugar and caffeine and other substances and forget these other things on the list, we can get sick, and it really is not a healthy way to live. So remember to take care of yourself. And now we're going to start talking about some doable change. So a couple of these slides are a review from last month when I talked about this specifically in terms of rhythm, but it always helps to be reminded that we want to pick one area to change. So I have this mantra that I often share with my mentor clients, which is think in 3s, pick one. So I think it's really important to just pick one thing to change at a time. I know when I get dissatisfied, I tend to think about the one thing I want to change, and then pretty soon, oh yeah, there's this other part, and then this, and then this, and then, because I'm a planner and I love planning. So pretty soon I have this whole new big picture of all the changes that we're going to make. And again, it's that it sets me up for the crash and burn as opposed to success. So remember that you can start small and that the dissatisfaction is what brings you the energy to change something. So the dissatisfaction is fine, welcome it, and know that it's going to lead you to deciding which area you want to focus on first. Remember to predict fall away and failure, because it will happen, and that's okay. You know, it's just an opportunity to tweak things and to learn and to practice. That's something that's taken me a really long time to accept, is that failure is okay, but it really, really is. It's a part of the process. So when designing your change, and I'm going to give examples in just a minute of different areas that you might choose. So maybe it's meal times, maybe it's bedtime, maybe it's gift giving, maybe it's, you know, there are all kinds of things that you could choose to make a change around. So think about an area that you are in your family life that you're dissatisfied with. Maybe it's the simplifying your homeschool rhythm, like we just talked about. But first you want to identify your dissatisfaction, and that's going to lead you to how you're going to design your change. So once you've identified what you're most dissatisfied with and want to work on, imagine things being better in that one little area. So if it's that your evenings are crazy, just as an example, perhaps your one small change is that you want to have dinner together. You want to serve dinner 30 minutes earlier. Even 20 or 15 minutes earlier can make a difference, so that your evening time goes more smoothly and everybody gets to bed at a reasonable hour, as opposed to it getting really, really late. If that's you've identified your dissatisfaction as bedtime, you've imagined things going smoothly, and then you design your small doable change, which is the 30 minutes earlier for your meal time. Then you give it a try and you see how it goes. You celebrate success, you celebrate failure, and oh good, hi Janine. Yeah, tidiness and organization, that's another good area. So we'll talk that through in just a minute too. All right, so think about what area you might want to change. And here are the steps. These are the steps to designing that change. So maybe jot down some notes if you have any ideas for what that might look like. And I can come back to this slide in just a minute too. I'm going to give a couple more examples. All right. So now you want to choose your area for change and think in terms of where you can introduce a place for pause, calm, more connection. Like pick up a flashpoint or a difficult part of your day where you feel like everybody's going and scattered in different directions and it's unsettling. That's often a good way to identify where you want to change something. It feels unsettling. So perhaps it's a rhythm you want to create or a ritual that you want to create that helps soothe and steady those moments. You're trying to make anchor points throughout your day, and think of those anchor points as times when you come together with your family so that you can experience a sense of connection. All right, here are some other ideas for you. What could be different? And maybe it's meal times, maybe bedtimes, your homeschool rhythm, as we talked about. It could be your activities or just the level of activities. There's this concept that I've mentioned before called activity pacing, where you have an active day followed by a calm day. So maybe it's your active day is when you're out and you're busy and you're with friends and you're you know, going on the holiday walk, or you're doing your spiral walk or something like that. And then the next day you plan for having a day at home so that everybody can kind of regroup. That's what activity pacing is. Another area that you might want to be different is the gift giving or receiving. I think it's helpful to consider reducing the number of gifts, or giving gifts of your time, or giving a gift of an experience, like tickets to go see a theater show, or going on an outing together or something like that. And another thing that I think this does, if you give gifts of time or experience, it pulls those experiences out of this crazy month, and you can do them in March, or you can do them at a later date, but you've given the gift now. And another thing that's really, really important for children is anticipation. They actually benefit from having to wait for things, for being excited about something and then having to wait for it. So giving gifts of time or experience are a really good way to build in that anticipation. Perhaps it's even a show that doesn't happen until May or something, and that can be really a really helpful way, natural way of building in that sense of anticipation. Or perhaps you want to focus on screen time as a way of something to be different. So this concept, I heard this concept from one of my yoga teachers the other day, and it was so helpful to me. She said, think about reducing any of these things that you want less of. You could think about reducing that time by 10%, or something that you want more of, like, the time to get ready for bed, or time to sit and read, or something, to increase that by 10%. So think about reducing or increasing by 10%. And 10%, I mean, it's so subjective, right? 10% is very small, but also I think very doable. Like, just try starting small and seeing how that goes, because I think it lends itself to more success than what we often experience if we try to do too many things at once. So I would love to hear from you if you have one of these areas that you are thinking that you want to focus on to make a small, doable change. So have a look at this list for a minute, and then I'm going to go back to the other slide that talks about how, like, the steps for creating that change in just a second. And I'd love to hear from you in the chat box if you want to share what you're thinking of. Janine shared that tidiness, and maybe decluttering was something she wanted to work on. So anybody else, if you want to. Oh, good. Caroline's saying it's gifts. So we're going to talk about different ideas for these. So please do share if you want ideas for how you might achieve that. Okay. Yeah, many choices. Earlier dinner. Okay, good. Earlier dinner. Reducing toys, Tara said. Earlier meals. I think earlier meals is really, really great at this time of year. Like, if you start now, anytime I'm going into a really busy time of year, I think backing up the mealtime is a really, really good thing to do. Yeah, morning walks. Your day goes better with a morning walk. So Nicole, you might want to try simplifying other parts of your day. Yes, prep time. Prep time is important too. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the slide where it talks about designing your change. So here's what I want you to do is just think about imagining it going better, and think about the one thing that you could do that would help it go better. And I'm reading the comments while you do that. Okay, Susan says, our homeschool rhythm has suffered, with unplanned trips. Isn't that always the way? Oh my gosh. I plan to catch up this month, but I'm really liking the idea of no main lessons in December too. So Susan, my suggestion would be catch up in terms of thinking about what you're going to do in January, and keep the super simple December rhythm for having a successful December. Because then it does give you a little more wiggle room of how you're going to, it gets you started on reestablishing a rhythm in a very simple way and celebrating the holidays, and then also gives you a little bit of time to think about how you're going to reestablish a meatier homeschool rhythm come January. Okay. And Matsunaga says, I have a 9-month-old baby and I need more rhythm, nap time for her. Yes, I often do all kinds of things during the day and drag her to activities. Yeah. Slowing down and thinking about the little one is just so, so important, I think. And I don't know, Matsunaga, if you have other children, but often me too. I mean, my third child, she got dragged to lots of different activities, whereas the oldest one, I was able to be home more with him when it was nap time, etc. So it definitely shifts with different, depending on how many children we have. But if there are ways to build in good nap time, super, super helpful for those little ones. Yep, Susan, I agree. So good, good, I'm glad. All right. So Dorina, I try to maintain rhythm in the midst of Nutcracker recital. Yep, all kinds of things going on. Reading before bedtime from Advent, Christmas books, yeah, and then saying prayers together. Yeah, so that's good. If that's working for you, it can get a little crazy. So maybe an earlier dinner time will help, or maybe you want to shift the reading, some of the reading until the morning time. Yes, simplify your home. Yep. And good. Okay. Well, if you want more suggestions, please let me know. I'm going to talk now about a couple that people have mentioned. So one is the idea of gifts. And I did say before that it can be really, really helpful to consider gifts of time or experiences. And this is also a really good thing too. A lot of people have trouble with their in-laws or their parents and what kind of gifts they are going to give the children. And I think it's way better, rather than getting into a sort of head-on power struggle. This is true with children too, right? And then it applies to our parents-in-law. When we, instead of saying, don't give them this kind of gift, give them this kind of gift, like trying to replace the natural toys and things with the plastic things. I think it's better to suggest, hey, maybe you want to give us a family membership to the zoo, or maybe you want to, my mom years ago started giving my daughter and I tickets to some theater performance, and it's just the perfect gift because we could do it later in the year, and it was a time for us to be together, and it didn't involve the struggle around what kinds of toys and things we have in our home. But I think giving fewer gifts is a really good idea. We want to reduce clutter. Generally, probably anyway. So giving gifts of either books that can last for years and years and years. Like, think about the lifespan of the gift too. So yeah, those are my thoughts about gifts. If you have more questions, or if any of you have ideas about simplifying gift giving, that would be really great. The tidying is a challenge, and really, I think the most effective way to have a tidier house is to have fewer things. So we really need to do the purge, and it's hard to do that at this time of the year because we have so many other things going on. I have taken to on one morning a week, usually it's a weekend morning, where I'll just give myself an hour and pick one area, like it's either the books or the clothes or the toys or the kitchen stuff, and just spend an hour, decluttering and tidying that one area. And I also think it really helps to have a tidy area where the children play and where the whole family can gather. Because it's very disconcerting to have just stuff strewn everywhere. And then we have this holiday of gift giving, and it just adds to it. So simplifying there and keeping things tidy, getting things tidy before the gift giving begins, if there's any way to do that, is really a great thing. Yeah, and sending gifts off early enough is another really, really good thing. I mean, somebody posted on Facebook today, have you finished your holiday shopping yet? Oh my word. Some people do a really good job at that, and others of us tend to be last minute Lucy, and it's harder to get everything together. Earlier meal times, I think it just takes planning. I think meal planning, menu planning once a week is a really great thing to do. Keep the meals simple, and then just be really, pick that as your one thing and start doing it now, and then keep that going so that everybody can get to bed at a reasonable hour. Yeah, handmade coupon books are really, really fun to do, and we've tried to donate in the name to favorite causes or handmade coupon book with time. Need help with tickets, for example. Yes. Yeah, so those are fun things to do. And then my daughter picked that up too, and now she'll give those back to me. She's 17, and she loves giving me coupon books. And I mean, they're coupon books for things like a foot massage and a trip to the coffee shop. It's really fun to see her do that, because I would do it for them when they were little, and now she does it for me. So yeah, good gift ideas. All right, so if there are any other questions, now is your chance. And I'm going to get ready for the giveaway. So pop any questions that you might have into the chat box, please. And I want to make sure that I have everybody's name on a little piece of paper here so that I can do the drawing. So if you have any other questions, please do let me know. All right. Caroline says, our children often get money as a gift, and especially for the younger of our children, I'm always unsure about what to feel. I like to repeat to the children that they can buy, what they can buy with the money is really a gift from grandma. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that can be tricky too, because I remember, I always would have this dilemma of, do I just take them to the toy store and let them get with it, whatever they want? But that was crazy. Don't do that. So I would often have my kids think about what they wanted to get with the money ahead of time, and then we would go and get it. Because if you leave it wide open, that's a really crazy, chaotic experience, I think, for everyone. My kids now, they still get money from my mom sometimes, and for their birthdays more often, but so they sort of are thinking about it. They're thinking about what they might want to do with it. But it's also a good idea Um, oh, Joe, that's so sweet. It's also a good idea to, what was I going to say? Oh, as the month is going on, you know how kids this time of year, they're thinking about what they hope to get as a gift. So as time goes on, anything that they might mention, you could say, oh, if grandma sends you money this year, maybe you could use that to buy that for yourself. So that's another good way to sort of build in the anticipation, and also have them start thinking about how they might want to use that gift. So I will mention Joe's suggestion is that if you're thinking of gifts you want to ask for, Joe says you could ask for the Taproot teacher training because it would be a wonderful gift. And I agree, that would be a great gift. So the Taproot teacher training happens every summer. Barbara Dewey and I host a training for Waldorf homeschooling parents. It's a long weekend, Thursday through Sunday, and it will be at the beginning of August. It's either going to be the first weekend or the second weekend of August 2017, and announcements about all of the details will be coming in January. So we would love to have you join us, and you could ask family members for that as a gift. It would be great. Yeah, Janine, giving it for yourself is another great idea too. All right, Amanda says if you can have a catalog, yes, Magic Cabin, Nova Naturals, that's a good idea that the children can look through. That can help them deciding too. So make sure it's a catalog you feel good about. That's really a great suggestion. Good suggestion. All right, I have some songs and verses that I want to share with you, and I realized that I forgot to bring the piece of paper with me, so I'm going to do this to the best of my ability. Okay, there it is. Okay. I will put the verses and the songs as usual. I'll put a handout in the show notes on the website page after the webinar has ended. But I will share a couple of these with you because they're songs and I know them by heart. Well, the first one is a very short verse called Gone is Autumn's Kindly Glow. And it goes like this. This is a great beanbag verse because it's so simple and a good rhythm. Gone is autumn's kindly glow, now the winds of winter blow. And then I Light the Night. This is one of my favorite songs, and this is a really fun song to do as part of the spiral walk for Advent or winter solstice, but it can also be, I know a lot of times, maybe it's Christmas Eve, I'm not really sure, sorry, since I celebrate Hanukkah, but I know a lot of times people will do a sort of candle lighting, like a ceremony where everybody has a candle and then you light the person next to you and you end up with this full circle of light. This is a good song for that too. Goes like this. I light the night, my candle burns. I light the night, my candle burns. First one, then two, then three, then four. My heart is shining like a star. And this little light of mine, probably most of you know that, but that's a really fun song to sing this time of year too, because I think the intention is as we go into this darkness, and we can be working on inner work around this concept, but as we go into this darkness, we're trying to find that little spark of light inside each of us that we share with each other, and that's what builds community and keeps us going through dark times. So this little light of mine is a great song to sing. And then Peace, Peace, Peace is another song that I absolutely love that I have a recording of already somewhere on the website, so I will link to that as well. And now I'm going to do the giveaways. Yay for the giveaways. So here are pictures of the 4 giveaways. I introed these at the beginning, and now is the time. So here's how this is going to work this time. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to choose the names, and I'm going to let each of you then choose, like the first person I pick can choose which one of these 4 things they would like. I do need to say that if you are not in North America, then the one giveaway that you can win is the Celebrating the Seasons, because that is an ebook. It's an electronic book. But if you are anywhere in North America, you could pick any of these 4 things. So here we go. I'm going to choose the first person. And you can tell me in the chat box, hopefully you're still here. You can tell me in the chat box which of these 4 things you would like. Okay, so the first person is Herky, hope that I pronounced that right, from Delaware. So congratulations, Herky, and you can tell me which of these 4 items you would like to receive. So just type it in the chat box and let us know, and I will go ahead and pick the next person while we're waiting for Herky to tell us which thing, which item she okay. And if she's not still here, or he, she, assuming she, I'll choose one of them to send. Okay, number 2 is Jennifer J. from New York. I hope I got that right. I wrote these down. So Jennifer, if you are still here, let me know. You get to choose your gift. Okay. Herky, yay! So Herky, you can let me know which of these 4 items you would like, and then email me, Jean@waldorfinspiredlearning.com, and give me your address. Okay, and Jennifer J., you too. All right, next is Crystal from Michigan. All right, Crystal, that is so exciting. Someday we will meet, Crystal, because my dad lives in Leland, Michigan. I think you're in, oh good, Herky wants the winter, okay. The winter guide. And yes, you are so welcome. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so I'm waiting to hear from Jennifer J. from New York and from Crystal in Michigan. And I have one more to choose, and that is Melissa from New Jersey. Okay, so we have our 4 winners. I'm really excited. And all of you, like I said, email me your mailing address if you picked one of the book or the beeswax or the crayons, and I will send those to you. All right, yeah, congrats everybody, and thanks so much for being here. And thanks Nicole, and Jennifer or Melissa or Crystal, if you're still here, let me know. Thank you everybody, and here are different ways that you can connect with me on Pinterest, Facebook, and YouTube. And then also my email is jean@waldorfinspiredlearning.com. If you are interested in buying the Celebrating the Seasons, if you don't have it yet, I do have a 20% off if you use the coupon code SIMPLICITY, you just, at Waldorf-Inspired Learning, you'll be able to find under what I offer, Celebrating the Season's Winter, and you can use the coupon code SIMPLICITY to get a discount through Friday. So write that down, SIMPLICITY, if you're interested in that offer. Oh, good, Amber. I really feel like I can do this after these webinars. That's exactly what I want to hear. You can do it. You can. So remember to really simplify your homeschooling lesson time during this month so that you can enjoy your family. And here is the Steiner quote of the month. I love this winter verse. Something you could use for meditation if you wanted to. Deep in the ground of the human soul, of victory assured, the spirit sun is living. All through the winter of the inner life, the faithful heart divines it. It's so beautiful. Thank you all. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in January. I hope everybody has wonderful, wonderful holidays. And remember to simplify. It will help you increase your connection with all of your kids and each other. So thanks again. And yeah, thank you. Thanks for the 1-year anniversary. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Susan. Pretty exciting. At Home with Waldorf. See you all next time. Bye-bye.